So we all need to get ready because we now know that the American people are going to pay for President Biden's mistakes. But here's the good news, is it's not going to come because the federal government is going to raise taxes. No, according to the Biden administration, nobody making less than $400,000 per year will pay a penny more in taxes. So that's good news there. The problem is you're going to pay elsewhere. So stick around for this entire video and I'll explain exactly what is going on and why this could mean a lot of trouble and major issues for many cities around the United States. So all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So over the past few weeks, I've talked to many people. And all the people that I talk to are concerned about one thing. How does their life change because of the issues that we are facing here in the United States? Well, it depends on what issues you're discussing. And the main issue that I'm always discussing with people is the U.S. southern border. Now, here's the problem. We know that the United States doesn't have the ability to do all this stuff on our own. We need help. And this is why some experts are now saying that we cannot solve the U.S. southern border crisis without Mexico. Again, this is a problem because now Mexico is asking the Biden administration for additional funding. They're asking the Biden administration to allow immigrants that are coming into the United States, mainly for asylum, not just people coming in illegally, but people that are coming in, give them a work permit. And I addressed this just the other day, and I told you one of the concerns is that we are now starting to get more and more people, more and more lawmakers that are proposing ideas. And one of those ideas is to give the majority of illegal immigrants here in the United States a work permit. This would allow them to go and work, make their own money, and pay for things like shelter and food. That would help out all these homeless shelters and food pantries. The problem is it's going to put more stress on the American people. And it's all because we're going to see additional inflation because now the demand for the products are going to go up. The supply of the products is going to go down. That's going to cause additional price pressures. Now, here's what I can tell you. Certain cities are going to feel more pressure than others. For instance, look at this. Governor Kathy Hochul, she's planning a $233 billion budget to maintain migrant aid and avoid tax hikes. This is in New York. Now, what you're going to see over the next probably handful of months is you're going to see all these lawmakers and governors and mayors talk about how they do not want to raise taxes. You know why they're doing that? It's because they do not want you to feel the pressure of having to pay additional taxes. But you will have to pay somewhere because guess what? We are now starting to see if we are having to increase our budget, but the money that's coming in is the exact same. Well, if you don't bring in additional new income from taxes or something else, you got to make cuts. You have to make cuts. So where are we seeing cuts? We're seeing cuts to the police force, seeing cuts to school districts, seeing cuts to libraries and parks. That's just to name a few. That is just to name a few. So if you love to go to the park and just go and camp or spend time at the lake or whatever, guess what? You might not be able to do that. You may have to pay more money to go further, go to a different lake, go to a different park. Because the park that you absolutely love may get shut down. It may get sold off so that people can go and develop it. Again, the United States needs money. Now, I want to show you this. Okay? And the reason why I want to show you this is because we're seeing this all over the place. Look at this. It says Mayor Johnson dodges questions in interview about whether he will raise taxes to address migrant crisis. Now, the issue here is we're seeing this all over the place. So this is in Chicago. This is Chicago's mayor, Brandon Johnson. He is being asked, how are we going to deal with this crisis? Well, are we going to increase taxes? Well, he doesn't want to say. Because the most likely outcome is yes, we're going to have to increase taxes. But I want to bring up something else because President Biden has made multiple mistakes. One of the first mistakes that President Biden made is he got rid of the Remain in Mexico policy. That Remain in Mexico policy was simply something that worked for asylum seekers, where they would remain in Mexico until their court date with the judge. The problem is now people are coming into the United States seeking asylum, which is perfectly fine. That's one of the things that we have here in the United States. It's great, right? But now, instead of them staying or going back to Mexico with the Remain in Mexico policy, they're being released in the United States, traveling around, going, who knows where. And then the issue is the majority of them are not coming back to their interview. That's an issue. Because when you think about it, all these people are leaving. And let me just paint you a little picture here. Okay? Let me I'm going to show you Chicago. Show you a little map of Chicago. And I want you to just think about this for a second. Okay? So here's the map of Chicago right here. Here it is. I'm going to zoom out. Think about this for a second. Okay? Or think about, let's say you really want to live in Chicago. Great. Well, here's the problem. If you are, okay, I'm going to show you a map of the United States as well. Because again, this is going to give you an even better picture. Let's say you really want to go to Chicago, but you're coming up to the border, okay? So here you are. You're coming into the border right here into Texas, okay? It doesn't matter where, or that's Mexico, but you're coming into Texas over here, okay? Doesn't matter where in Texas you're coming in. You're just coming in somewhere, okay? Now, here's the problem. Let's say you can't find any work in San Antonio because, well, you don't have any work permits and people in San Antonio don't want to hire you. Okay, well, then you head over here to Houston. Well, same problem. Then you get up here to Dallas. Kind of the same problem. Then you head over here to, let's say, somewhere in Arkansas, or you travel all the way over here to Memphis. All right, well, kind of the same issue. They're a little worried because you don't have a work permit, right? And then somehow you hear over here in Nashville that, oh, well, people in Chicago, which is just a little north of us, right here, people in Chicago are hiring illegal immigrants that you can probably get a job there. And so then you travel all the way up here to Chicago, and here you are, right here in Chicago. Well, here's the problem. From Chicago, okay, right up here, all the way down to the border down here, let's say this is, over here in El Paso or Ciudad Juarez, where a lot of people go, and that's one of the main consulates in Mexico. But let's say you got to travel all the way back down here to the border. Guess what? How many people you think are going to get all the way back down to the border to go meet with the judge when they just made it up to Chicago or all the way to New York? Not many. This is part of the issue. This is why that Remain in Mexico policy worked, is because people wouldn't get into the United States, travel 1,000 miles up north with every intention to come back. The problem is, if they're not working, how are they going to pay for that trip to come back? That's the issue. Again, this is where some experts are saying that Americans are going to pay for all these mistakes that President Biden made. Here's another one. They say President Biden not taking action sooner when he saw these numbers increase, when they were just ballooning, surging. Where was he? He didn't do anything. That was a problem. Here's another one. President Biden initially put Vice President Kamala Harris in charge of the border. How many times did you see her at the border? How many times have you seen President Biden at the border? Not many. Again, do they need to be there? No. Should they have put their eyes on that crisis? Yes. They should have done it sooner. Now, here's something else. I was talking to a handful of people the other day. One person said that he has a friend down in Denver. Okay, he also has a friend over in New York, and they have similar issues. In Denver, he has his friend has seen so many people sleeping in or under the underpasses. Okay, and the other problem is some of them their stuff is kind of flowing out into the street and blocking people from getting through, especially early mornings when they're trying to get to work. creates a little bit of delay, and again, the American people may pay. But it was what his buddy said in New York. Listen to this. He said one of his buddies said that a homeless person, or they call him a homeless person. I don't know if they're homeless after reading this, but let me know your thoughts. He says, a homeless person threw mud on one of my windows and said he would clean it off for $5. He says, this was at a stoplight and my buddy had no other choice as he wasn't going to get out in the rain while he was wearing a suit. So I don't know if this is a homeless person, but here's the issue. And this happens all the time down in Mexico, where people will come with like a water bottle, okay? They have like their water bottle. They'll poke a hole in it, a little hole in it, and then they'll just squeeze it. And there's just water and some soap, and then they get a little squeegee, and they try to clean off your window. And down there, you'll give them like 10 pesos, right? 5 pesos, just something little. Then they do it, and they make a little bit of money. Great. Here in the United States, you can't just throw mud on someone's car and wipe it around and say, oh, well, if you want me to clean it, I'm going to charge you $5. But if you want to clean it, there you go. Right? That's not really the way it works. But that is what happened. Again, the American people are going to pay in some way as we start to see more and more people come into the United States, because what's going to happen is we're going to see things that we see down in Mexico. This is one of them. We're going to see people, juggling and trying to, vendors in the middle of intersections, trying to sell their products. You're going to see this, okay? And if you don't buy their products there in Mexico, it's fine. No big deal. Somebody else will come through. Not a big issue. Here in the United States, one of the things that we've seen is people are actually standing there with like a hammer. And I saw a video of this in like somewhere in India as well. Somebody was standing there with a hammer. Now in the United States, it looked like it was a rubber hammer. Still, if someone's standing there in the intersection with a hammer, or what looks like a hammer, asking you for money, trying to sell you something, you're either going to give them money or you're going to buy something, or you're just going to you book it and get out of there. And that could be another issue. So again, a lot of issues happening right now, but according to many experts, they are saying we need to get ready, because what we have seen in the past is not what we're expecting in the future. There will be a shift. There will be a major change. We just don't know exactly what it's going to look like. So that's kind of where we're at this point. Just wanted to fill you in on kind of what's going on at this time. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.